Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Breaking Chains Ministries. I'm your boy, Earl Miller, and I got my wife with me. Go ahead and give him a shout out, honey.
Hey everybody. How y'all doing out there?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. We want to welcome you into the space. This is a special edition here. Come on, come on, come on. Why don't you go ahead and put your likes in the comment box? We have a special episode here. It is Mother's Day weekend, and we want to give a shout out to all the mothers out there holding it down. My
Yes.
goodness, you are the backbone. Pick up your crown. Come on, wear your crown straight. You're everything. You're all that. Don't let nobody tell you different. You are special. You are the apple in God's eye. And we just want to give you a huge shout out. And from the Miller household to your household, we say happy Mother's Day weekend. Let me tell you, children, whether you're under the age of 18 or you're adult children, it's not too late to go be a blessing to your mother even the more, or your mother's even the more, and go buy them gift, get them roses, get them a card, embrace them with a hug. Do whatsoever you can do to express your gratitude for
Yes.
all the things that they have done. And so we didn't want to let this Mother's Day weekend go by without, you know, bringing into the space, co-founder of Breaking Chains Ministries, my wife. Man, I am just so blessed to cross paths with her and be yoked with her in the kingdom of God. And I heard one of the elders told me many moons ago, I think we were within our first few years of marriage. He said, you know, youngster, how I can tell if you're preaching, I'm just going to look at your wife, because you know, you can sound good in the pulpit, but if your marriage is a hot mess, come on, I wish I had a real witness up in here. You're not preaching too good. And so if you really want to preach a good message, your marriage, you know, let your marriage speak for itself, because that's the gospel truth in of itself. And so we want to welcome you into the space. We ask that you like, share, follow, and subscribe. For
Mm.
all of you frequent followers who have been showing your love, you know, the text messages, the phone calls, your prayers, my goodness, the comment box, just everything that you have been doing. This would not be possible without you. We salute you. We love you and thank God for you. And for those who are chiming in for the first time, you are welcome into this space at any time. And we want to hear from you. You can go to Breaking Chains Ministries website. We have a contact tab where you can go ahead and fill out that form, and we will get back to you because it goes directly to our mailbox. And so we have this special Mother's Day edition. I'm going to ask my wife a few questions. We're going to use the panel model on tonight, or this evening, rather. And so, without any further ado, if you want to go ahead and put in the comment box as I'm asking these questions, go ahead and put your reply in the comment box. There's no right, there's no wrong. We're in this thing together. We are one body, one voice, one community. Amen. And so, on today, I want to ask my wife this first question. You ready, honey?
I'm ready.
All right. What does being a mother mean to you?
Hmm, that's a great question. What does being a mom mean to me? I mean, being a mom is everything. Like you're never not a mom. Like when you're a mom, like you're never not a mom. Like you are always a mom. Um, so it just means to me that kind of God entrusted me to bring to rear um you know his creation, because ultimately it's his creation. So he entrusted me to bring up the rear this child, and it's an honor. It's an honor to be a mother or to be called mom.
Yes, absolutely. It's a gift, right?
Yes.
Being a mother, being able to conceive, being able to carry to a full term, right? And then
Mhm.
give birth. You know, go ahead.
And it's responsible. Like, I mean, it's a lot. It's responsibility.
Hmm.
It means all of those things. It means that I have this human being that you know that I have been entrusted to care for and to teach. And not just teaching is not, and learn.
Yeah.
We often think that we can't we can't learn from our kids, but it's often our kids who are teaching us and helping us grow too.
Mm, yeah, I love that. That's very powerful what you just said, because it's twofold. So, a parent or a mother is teaching their child and or children if they have multiple, but in the same breath, through those life lessons, is teaching and raising the parent as well.
Yep,
And it's almost as if, is it safe to say, while the child is growing, the mother and or the parent is growing as well?
absolutely. It's yep, absolutely. There are so many lessons and things that you learn from parenting and mothering and being a mother. Especially when you're young, like when you're young. I think, of course, there are younger parents than I was. I was 21 when I had Trey.
Mhm.
And I often say that I was young. I I was just scratching the surface. We think we grown at 21. We not. Um,
Uh-huh.
so oftentimes I say that Trey and I grew up together.
Hmm.
Um, and there were things that I had to learn along the way too.
You mentioned something very powerful. You mentioned, thank you for that, sweetheart. You mentioned on early on in your response that to be entrusted with a child. So
Mhm.
are you? Can you say more? What do you mean to be entrusted with this gift of a child? What does that mean?
Well, it means that somebody, not somebody, but God, because I feel like
Come on.
he he saw in you the ability to be able to um not just birth a child, right? Because there we have, let's just be real now. There are people who birth kids and are not mothers, right? And are not moms, okay? So moms, like, they take on that responsibility. There it's the sleepless days, the sleepless nights, it's the prayers, it's all of those things that come with that is entrusting to rear, to take care of, to teach. That's how I think about it.
I like that. I like that. I appreciate you. Taking that response a little bit more further. And you're right. Being a mother has to be more. What I heard, being a mother has to be more than the title.
Yep.
The title.
Yep.
Being a mother comes with responsibility.
Hmm.
Being a mother not only is being aware and knowledgeable, it comes with responsibility, but carrying out the action to fulfill the responsibility.
Yep.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it's all of those things. It's selflessness. Oftentimes, you got to give, mothers will give to their kids before they are concerned about, themselves.
Mm.
We have kind of sayings in the city or in the hood, or however you want to say it, like, you can tell a mom takes care of her kids when you see the mom, and the mom be ragged but the kid is put together. That's a mom.
Yeah, that's a mom. I remember
That's a
plenty of
mom.
times. I remember plenty of times going to school. It's almost as if my mom put the whole jar of Vaseline on us. I mean, just head just shining. I mean,
Absolutely.
oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
That's what I be telling Puka Mama. Get over here so I can get that face greased. A greased baby is a loved baby. Okay.
Agree. Y'all just got some culture right there. You just got some culture. All right, we're gonna keep on going. Thank you for that, Miss Miller. We're gonna drop this second question into the chat box for our viewers. They are chiming in and jumping back off, but I believe folks are gonna watch the replay and be blessed by this.
Amen.
Um, the second question I have for you is, how many children do you have? And share with us a little bit about your motherhood journey. So I already know, and folks who are watching this that know you understand how many you have. But there are going to be some folk that may not know. So, how many children do you have? And share with us a little bit about your motherhood journey. Thank you,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
So we have one child. Um, Earl is not the Pastor Miller is not the biological father. However, he is the father. Um, I gave birth to one son, James George Jones the third. Um, and I was a single mother. I was 21. I was young, and I really didn't. Again, I did not know that mothering was going to come. Motherhood was going to come with all of the things that it came with. However, it's what happened during that time, and I was going to rise to the challenge. So, one son, he is now 30, will be 31. And I was a single mother up until he was about 14. So it was just him and I. Um, and yeah, there were some long days, and there were some sleepless nights, and there were some challenges, but there were also great moments, um, great joy in that period of time.
All right, all right, all right. So, this question that, thank you for sharing that. And I just want to say this, being transparent, people may not really realize this, but being online and transparent, making ourselves vulnerable like this, it's
Hmm.
not easy.
Yep.
It's not easy. And so often, gosh, I feel it in my spirit right now. This is a special episode. We might go over the 30 minutes. You might get a full 45 minutes to an hour because we want to bless you. We want to pour into your households. What the Lord has been so kind and gracious in our lives. We want to share it with all of you. And so, you know, I appreciate you being transparent and making yourself vulnerable. It's not easy. It's actually easy to put on a clergy collar, put on a robe. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to put on your Sunday best and dress up some stuff, right? But on the inside, being broken, like literally hurt, emotionally scarred, psychologically scarred, confused, lost, don't know which way to turn if you're coming or going. And so for you to share in the volume of what you just did in complete transparency, I salute you. And I know that you've just blessed some folks. And so this third question is actually threefold. It has an A, a B, and a C. And so I'm going to ask you A. But first, I'm gonna re-ask the question again, and I'm gonna go to A, three
Yep.
A.
Okay.
Although having children are gifts, motherhood comes with challenges.
Hmm.
What are some challenges a mother may face?
Yep. So, I mean, I spoke about it a little bit earlier. Like, being a single mom is not, it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard to find balance. Um, because you kind of have to be all things to your child. And I believe that a father um plays an intricate role. I think it takes two people. And so when you are a single mom and the father is not in the home, it is difficult. Being a young mother, I was 21. I was 21 when I had Trey, but there are mothers, there are younger mothers than that. There are moms that have their kids and when they're teens, and that comes with its own challenges as well. Being a single mother and having multiple kids, um being a mom and also having your own issues, like whatever that is, like mental health issues, whatever it is hard. Because I think we often forget that even though we're moms, we're still human too. And we still have, our things too, things that we have to deal with, ourselves. So oftentimes what happens in mothering is ourselves, We sacrifice our needs for our child's needs. And sometimes that can be detrimental. Sometimes we need to
Mm,
pause. We need to pause and we need to take care of ourselves, because if we're not healthy and whole,
mm,
how can we be sure that our kids are healthy and whole?
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, that's very powerful. You talked on a couple of things, like just the importance of having, both parents, collectively working together,
Mhm.
and not just carrying the title, but literally, working together and sharing in the responsibility at nourishing, right?
Yep.
Um, and providing and just being present. I
Yep.
would say this. I would say this. I'm sorry, I said nourishing, nurturing, and I would say this, that even if a father or a mother or a household does not have, all of the resources. Resources is not the supplement. We're thankful for
Yep.
the resources, but resources cannot be the supplement for your presence. And
Absolutely.
this is how I know this. This is how I know this. For one, growing up without a dad, watching my dad die when I was 6, and still longing to know who this individual was, who people would say, who I look like him, I talk like him, I walk like him, I sound like him, my mannerisms, right? But
Yep.
and now all of a sudden, this person who I really did not know after the age of 6, I'm still longing for the individual. So I knew it from that standpoint, but I also knew from the standpoint in the line of work that I do. Often, when fathers go to these institutions, right, they get locked up, and then all of a sudden they realize, hey, um, the see, kids don't care about Jordans and all the clothes. They're gonna play in the Jordans just like they play in the XJ900s. Oh, come on, I went to Payless.
Absolutely.
I had XJ900s. I had Pro Wings. I had Jordashes. Come on, so you can buy your kids all the name brand stuff, but they're gonna play in that stuff just like they play in the other clothing. And so, what fathers realize when they're incarcerated is the importance of, man, your kid only wants you, and now you took the very thing that they're longing from away from them by the decisions and choices that you made. And
Yep.
so, I just wanted to say, the way, just like mother, two human beings came together to conceive and to give birth to this child, it just makes sense to raise the child as well.
Mhm.
um, but you also touched on something very profound too, that's interesting. Although our mothers, God, you guys are you are superheroes, you are super women, and although you are super women, I feel like this, we have to stop acting like you're not human beings.
Mhm.
I mean, just because you can carry the load, don't mean that it's
We
always
sh-
okay to have to
Yep.
carry the load.
Yes. Come on.
Because it's impacting you all's mental health.
Mhm.
It's, it's saying, possibly delaying some of your dreams and ambitions and the things you want to get to. And so
Yep.
I think it's really it's selfish thinking to just say, oh, they're okay. No, they're not. Just because they're resilient doesn't make it okay. you know and so you all deserve to live your best lives. You all deserve, to have the care and the just the fullness of life, no different than anybody else. And I'm going to say this because I feel that I need to. uh, the ongoing ramifications of Jim Crow, and of a lot of the oppression that we have to endure. Is saying we're still actually, seeing some of those, the impact of that. And
Mhm.
so we still have to bounce. We're still striving to bounce back from that, which means that we as a community have to, say, educate ourselves and love one another. You
Yep.
got anything before we go to B?
No. You said it all. You said it well.
Okay, so here we go. 3B. What parenting skills may a mother use to navigate those challenges
Mm,
that you mentioned?
mm. Um, yeah, those, yeah. I think just parenting skills, like I feel like in general that, and this can be mom or dad, but we're talking about moms, but I think you know, communication skills super important. Um Understanding how to communicate with your children and your kids, because and especially if you are a single mom, because I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of times as a single mom, and I'm just gonna talk about my journey, like you're so concerned about providing, right? And sometimes you miss those important things that your kids need, so communication to me is important. um Love and nurturing, and us mothers, we naturally have it in us. We like to say, some of us don't, and our babies, they need that. In our community, I feel like sometimes we are so, and again, that's that historical piece. We're so hard, and we want our kids to, like, the world is not going to love you, and they're not going to this, and so we're so hard. But our kids need to be nurtured, and they need to be loved. They need to know they're loved. They need to know they're valued. So instilling that and giving that to them, telling them, that they're valued and they're loved and they're beautiful, because the world is not going to tell them that. But
Mm.
as their mom, you're listen here, you're my baby, you're beautiful. No matter what this world says to you, you want to give that to your kid.
Mm.
Um, Problem solving skills.
Mm.
Like, I think that is so important, because yes, the world is not going to give our kids everything that they want, and there are going to be things that they have to work toward.
Yeah.
So how do we give them those problem solving skills that they need?
Mm.
Patience. I think patience is a skill, a motherhood skill or a parenting skill. That is,
Mm.
you got to be patient, because you might have some kids. You might have some kids that do the same thing over and over and over and over and
Mm.
over again. But you got to have patience in that. And then I know one of the things that I said is oftentimes mothers sacrifice, like they sacrifice a lot for their kids. They sacrifice themselves. And so I think also, like, um what, like, wellness, self wellness. I think kids need to see their parents like taking care of themselves. I think
Mm.
that's important too, because then they'll know, and they'll have a role model, and they'll be able to say, I need to pause sometimes, I need to take a step back, and I need to take care of myself as well.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful. I was having brunch the other week with a good friend of mine, another preacher, and he said to me, um, the importance of our children, even though we may be expressing verbally, right, to our children, the do's and the don'ts in life. Um, and it may seem like they're not taking it in or grasping it or listening, rather, right?
Mhm.
And he said, "Hey, man, they're watching. They're watching you. Your
Yep.
our kids are watching us." And
Mhm.
so, teaching and educating our children is not just, what we say out of our mouths, but it's how we exemplify what we're saying, right? How we exemplify what we believe in. And one of the things that I will say is, I want to say to the mothers and to, fathers, this is Mother's Day, we're going to keep it on the mothers, but, on the parents that are listening, it may not seem like your child and or children are listening to you, and it can probably be frustrating, but you being consistent with even just going to work, getting up and showing your kid that, hey, going to work is the right thing to do. Them being able to always come home to a roof over their head. This teaches responsibility, right? How to provide. You're teaching them how to provide. You're teaching them what consistency is. You being present, right? There's
Yep.
not a time that they've been able to come home and you were absent. These are things that they're watching in your behavior and how you demonstrate it. And so we here at Breaking Chains Ministries want to encourage all of the parents out there, including ourselves, that teaching doesn't always come by expressing it verbally. Teaching is modeling what you're expressing as well. Let's go to the next question here, part C. So we talked about some challenging things right there, and it kind of can make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so, why don't you lift us up a little bit? Uh, how have your challenges been blessings in disguise? My goodness.
Because I feel like out of every test there is a testimony, honey.
Uh oh.
Okay?
Uh oh.
Every test we have a testimony. Out of every challenge, honey, we are victorious.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, being a single mom, raising my son alone until he was 14, like, we have, like, our relationship, we have a wonderful mother son. I wouldn't even say mother son, because I was talking to my therapist, and we were talking about, like, how we say, my son, my kid, that's my best friend, and she was saying, like, I don't think there is anything wrong with that. Trey and I have a wonderful relationship. So even though there were struggles and there were challenges, out of it, like, developed this amazing mother son bond um that we have. So that was definitely a blessing in disguise. And when I say, like, we
Mm.
grew up together, like, we grew up together. I was young. We grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
Um so to me, it's a blessing.
Mm. That's huge. That's huge. So you mean to tell me that out of parenthood came friendship too? Oh, come
Yes.
on. That's a word right there. Somebody
Yep.
could catch that spirit. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Yep.
ahead.
And there's nothing wrong with that, though, because a lot of times, I don't know, I just will hear that your kids shouldn't be your friends and you should be their mother. Well, my son is 30 years old now. He's not a kid. Now I understand at a young age, when they're young, like, that's not they're still learning, and we might not necessarily want them to have the impression that we're friends, but we do want to have a relationship to where your kids aren't afraid to come to their parent, their mother, or whoever, and have a conversation with them. Although I might have instilled a little bit of fear in there. However, not enough for him not to come to me when you know it's needed. So yes, out of the parenting relationship, Trey and I have a wonderful bond, a very close bond
Mhm.
as mother and son.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I totally agree with you. It's actually biblical. Um, it's biblical, and I think that it has to be, taught and understood, though, the roles of the relationships, right, and the boundaries that come with that, right, because
Boundary.
although a
I
parent
like
is saying,
that.
I'm your friend,
Mhm.
let's just go ahead and understand, I'm also your parent too.
I'm
Here's some
still
boundaries.
your mama.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
still your mama.
yeah,
Don't ever get it
yeah.
twisted.
Yeah, and so and I also think that there just needs to be some education around that, right?
Mhm.
Because if we're not careful, we'll say yes, they are adults, but the difference is we're parenting without um, with knowing that we got to let them go and live their lives, right? That the parenting style is different now. We're not so much hands on, right?
Yep.
It's almost like with our cell phones and we're driving, we're hands off, right?
Yep.
And so we understand that for them to, own their adulthood and for them to be the successful parents in their lives, if that's their choice, if they end up becoming parents, or getting married, etc., they're going to have to learn how to figure this thing called life out for themselves. And if we parent the same way we did when they were kids or teenagers, then we'll be doing them a disservice. But I think it's important to be more hands off, but also to establish those boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
And so that a child and or children understand that, hey, if I'm operating in this role as a friend, saying, we need to be able to discern when I'm operating now as a mother, because now it's like, or a father, it's going to be a little bit different. And so being that it's a delicate dance, but I think it's wise to be able to make that transition effectively,
It
and
is.
that takes work. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me just say this too. You brought up a word that I think is a skill that parent mothers,
Mm-hmm.
fathers too need to have, and that's boundaries. You need to be able to set boundaries even when they're young. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to set those boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries are critical. I appreciate that. Okay, rolling right along here. Thank you, honey. You're making your way through these tough questions. So you are a mother. You are not just a mother, but you are a God-fearing, a godly mother, right? And
Mhm.
you're a great mother. But you're also a Mima. What advice would you give your younger self when you first entered into motherhood?
Oh, um, that's a good question. What advice would I give myself? Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace because there is no manual for motherhood. Although there are some great books that have been written, there is no manual, you know? So that there is going to be some mistakes that are made. It's just inevitable. Um, so give yourself some grace. And know that like you're growing in motherhood too. You're not just gonna stay um in one space. That's a great thing about being a mima, is that you have grown in your motherhood. So give yourself, that's what I would tell um my younger self, is to give yourself some grace. I probably also would tell my I probably also would tell my younger self to be be more loving and nurturing, because I know, because Trey and I have a great relationship, he has told me and been able to tell me that when he was growing up, I was really tough. I was really hard. And so hug them babies. Love on them babies. We don't
Mm-hmm.
we don't we don't do that enough. So I would tell my younger self to not be so concerned about be concerned about it, because I think that was a driver for me, the survival piece, right?
Yeah.
um I knew I was by myself,
Yep.
and I was just trying to survive.
Yep.
Wanted to make sure that he had everything and that he didn't have to ask and want for
Mm-hmm.
anything. And I was so focused on that that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stop enough to hug him and love him. Now, when he was a baby, of course, but like once he hit like 5, I was like, brother,
Mm-hmm.
no, you got this. And I would tell my younger self to hug him because he needs
Mm-hmm.
it. Love
Yeah.
him because he needs it. He's a boy, but he still needs it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? You and like so many other mothers who are listening to the sound of our voice right now, having to overcompensate by providing. And see what happens when we have to overcompensate to provide as a single parent,
Hmm.
then something is being missed.
Yep.
Something is being missed, and
Yep.
that's really part of the trauma that we talked about earlier. That's really part of the, man, it was never designed from the beginning. When you go back to Genesis,
Yep.
right, it says let man and woman come together, right? Let the man leave his mother, leave his household, and be yoked with his wife, and let them become one. It was never designed to raise a family individually. God has always designed it from the beginning,
Yep.
from Genesis, which means beginning, for them to be as one, two come
Hmm.
together to make one. And so and we see so much of the opposite of that picture. And
Hmm.
really, at the end of the day, and I don't mean to be preaching on here, but it's the ongoing ramification of sin. At the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
At the end of the day, it comes the thief. I've been on this, man. The season a renewed mind, and I've been talking about my goodness, fortifying our minds once we do start operating in it. And um, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy,
Mhm.
right? And see, he stole what was designed to be pure, right?
Yep.
He stole that in the beginning, and we're still kind of being impacted by that.
Yep.
And so I just want to every single mother underneath the sound of our voice, keep your head up. I feel that. I feel that. I feel that.
Better.
Yeah, I feel that. Keep your head up. We see you, and guess what? Don't forget to take a breather. Don't forget to slow down, inhale and exhale, and see your sons. Remember now, your sons, our sons and our daughters, they don't see the clothes. They don't see the Jordans at that age. She said 5 years old. He needed a hug. Our
Yes.
kids, our babies. This is simple here. This is simple.
Yep.
It's all about LOVE.
Yep.
LOVE. If we can just love our way through. That other stuff, the material stuff will come later. As a matter of fact, we won't even really put so much emphasis on the material stuff because all we need, we already have, which is that love, which
Yep.
is that togetherness, which is that unity, which is family. And so, man, we're going to keep on going. With this. Thank you for answering the question. What would the question on the floor was? What would Onika tell her younger self when she first entered into motherhood? And so here's a follow up right here for you, Onika. And this follow up simply says, "What motherly wisdom?" And I feel like you begin sharing this in your reply. What motherly wisdom would you like to share with a first time mother who may be watching or who may watch the replay? Thank you.
Um, I started to say, give yourself some grace and love on your kiddos, hug them because they need it. They definitely need it. Take care of yourself. That's important. You need to take care of yourself because again, you can't be good for them if you're not good for yourself. So you need to make sure that you're well. Um yeah, that's that's all I can think of right now. Um give yourself some grace. Love on your babies. Have fun too. Smile, laugh, you know, communicate with them. Um teach them. Don't just yell at them. Don't just scream at them. Teach them. Help them understand, stop and communicate with them and talk to them, dialogue with them, help them understand um their emotions and what they are feeling. All of those things go a very long way. And I'm saying this because I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was wrapped up and concerned about surviving, not realizing. And I think, in the Black community, we're trying to survive daily. But
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about what would I say to my old self, my younger self, and what would I say to new moms, we got to teach our kids. We got to teach our kids how to manage their emotions. We got to teach our kids what it mean, what things mean. We got to teach our kids how to problem solve, because nobody is going to teach them that. We got to teach them how to think. We got to teach them how to question things, because if it's left up to, society and school, they don't want you to question nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Question, question. I know a lot of times in the Black community, we don't want to. We do as I say, do what I say. But why? What if it's wrong? What if what you're doing? What if what you're doing is wrong? And we telling our kids, no, don't question me. I think sometimes we got to teach our kids to question and to think, like to think independently of others,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be in situations where you need to think independently of
Mm-hmm.
others.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with
So
that.
that's what I would tell our younger moms.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, teach your child. Don't just, if you see them getting ready to put their hand on a hot stove, don't just smack their hand.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
tell them why, and then
Mm-hmm.
ask them if they understand.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just because we good at hollering and
Yeah,
and and reading somebody down. That's what we'll read you to death.
yeah.
No, we need to teach you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As you were talking, thank you for that. The verse came to mind, and all that getting, get an understanding. Well, how can you get an understanding if you don't ask a question? There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with asking a question, as long as it's in the spirit of I want to learn. Can you tell me why? Not that I'm trying to question your authority, you right, or it's not about right or wrong. I'm trying to get educated here, right? And so we do have to do a better job at educating our youth, saying our children rather, on the reason why we don't do the things that we don't, why we do the things, right? Because if we lay that foundation, then we pass that baton over to the next generation, and they continue to build, right, our communities. They're the next educators. They're the next leaders in our communities. They're the next leader in the education department. They might be the next Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. We don't know, but we have a responsibility as mothers and as parents and as a community. I'm hearing this in my spirit. It takes a tribe to raise a child. Saying when I was growing up, my neighbor could whoop me. See, things was a lot more tighter. Like your neighbors knew one another, and so my mother's neighbors can actually discipline us and chastise us, right? Because we knew it was coming out of place. There was a sense of togetherness there, and so we have a responsibility as a community to raise our children right, to protect our children, and to provide for our children. I see. Let's hear. I see. Minister Kiana Johnson.
Yep.
She says asking questions was considered talking back. Now we have a bunch of grown folks who don't know how to effectively communicate.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's
Eh,
on the money.
yeah.
That's on the money.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it right there. Thank
Yep.
you for that, Minister Kiana Johnson. And just so you guys know, Minister Kiana Johnson is her profession is in the therapy arena too. She's licensed, and she's right on the money. That is powerful. Asking questions was considered talking back.
Yep.
Now we have a bunch of grown folks. We now we have a bunch of grown folks who don't know how to
How to
effectively
communicate.
communicate. That's it.
Absolutely. And that's
That's
why I
it.
said, like, we got to teach our kids,
Mhm.
how to think independently, how to problem solve, how to ask questions, because you're
Mhm.
absolutely correct. That's what we was taught. We was taught not to, we don't talk back. You just do what I say do. And I don't necessarily believe that that was all the way correct. I think you, just like you said, Miller, you can ask a question without being disrespectful.
That's right. That's right.
You can
That's
ask
right.
why are you saying this? Tell me what's the why behind it, or how you can ask that without being disrespectful.
That's
And
right.
us as mothers and parents should be able to explain. And when
Mhm.
we explain, then we're helping them to process and to think.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No. That's it too. And um, God, I could go on and on about that. I want to go ahead and go to this question number 6 here. Thank you for fleshing that out more. Um, let me see. Here's number 6 here. Here's number 5 rather. Here's number
Okay.
5. So I've had the pleasure of being on the sideline. I go to, Black History Month that coordinate for the past, God, 15, 16 years. You and I have been married. Me and you pulled up to Chick-fil-A and your students would see you and they call you Mama Miller. I'm talking about these kids are going off to HBCU schools. They calling you around the holidays. I mean, my question becomes this for you, Miss Miller. Um, how important is it for us to be able to see that motherhood goes beyond our own places of abode? How important is it for mothers to know that, hey, we do have a responsibility to other kids out there, because we just may not know, somebody may not have a mother, or they may not have a healthy mother,
Yep.
right? How
Yep.
important, how has that relationship with other kids who look up to you as a type of a mother figure been a blessing to you, and how important is that for us to kind of um, have that expand throughout our communities?
I I think it's very important. At least for me. I mean, it may not be for others, but it is for me, because I had a tribe. I had a village. I had many different um mother figures and women who poured into me as I was growing up. And it was super duper important for me to be able to give back in the way that I was given to growing up. I had my favorite teacher was Miss Abari. She was my home economics teacher at Edison High School, but she mothered us. I was in Edison in the 90s, right? So it was white, very white. She was probably one of two black teachers in the building, and she mothered us. We stayed in her classroom. That's where we gathered. She loved on us. She gave us the advice. So sometimes there are people who are outside of your household that can give you different advice, or that might know something different than your parents might know. Mr. Mari was one of them. She was in the building, like she was in the building with us, right? So she knew who our boyfriends were, or who we were interested in, and she gave us all of the advice, and she was real, and she was honest. And because I had that, I felt like it was important. It was important for me to be able to give back in my line of profession. So now, where my office is that, for not just for girls, but for our young men too.
Mhm.
So it's just important. They need those role models. and they need that representation, people who look like them. It's important. They need to know that people who look like them can be successful too.
Mm,
So it's super duper important to me.
mm. Yeah, it's very important, especially when you look at, um, especially when you really know the different types of barriers that have become, the weapons towards black and brown body families.
Yep.
And so if the more you become educated and say, wait, man, there's some systemic harm that has been taking place of generation upon generation upon generation. There's structural harm. I just have to put it out there. Systemic racism and structural racism is real. And
Yep.
so when you to be aware is to be alive. And to much is given, much is required. Once we become informed about the truth, then we actually have a responsibility to play our part, right? As a matter of fact, the Bible puts it this way: you'd be better off not to know the truth than to know it and not do it. And so if you know that, hey, um, um, as a matter of fact, if we don't start seeing our children, saying who are not our biological kids as our own, then we're really, hindering our legacy. We're hindering our legacy, and we're actually hindering forward progress as a community, as a people, as a family. And so it's imperative that we see our kids, right? We see these students, we see folks. We're able to look beyond the stereotypes that the media tries to portray, and we just love on them because, listen, man, we don't know who just was molested the other night. There's probably a kid. I'm sure there's a child right now that's going through child molestation. I'm sure there's a child right now that's not eating. I'm sure there's a child right now that's going through emotional, psychological abuse. We call this adverse child experiences. That acronym ACEs is very trendy, and people just try to use it to sound cool. But it's real. And so what happens is that these kids go through these harmful events in their household, a place that they're supposed to, if they're supposed to feel safe anywhere, it's supposed to be at home. And so now they come to school, and the abuse that they're being, impacted by it causes a disruption in their classroom performance. And now they're beginning to isolate themselves. Now the trust issues come. And now, as educators, if you are not able to see these symptoms and these behavior patterns to be able to intercede to get these children the help that they need, then they are really at risk at either committing suicide, at risk at going to engage with false love, gangs, and organizations. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some people, I'm gonna drop this out. The brothers are not gonna like this. You probably thinking you pimping and you play you real players because you got a whole lot of women out there that you can sleep with. You can go bump a nice little bad little chick and you can sleep with them. The reality of it is that you are longing. You missed the opportunity to be comforted by your mother, and you're trying to find comfort in the bosom of a woman. And what's happening? You're having sexual intercourse with them, and now what comes is a baby, and now you got responsibility, and you run from that responsibility, and you go to the next woman because you don't want the responsibility. Get the healing that you need because you missed it when you was a child, and stop trying to find comfort in the woman's bosom. Stop trying to heal from that. Heal from that. Heal from that. Let's move to the next. Now, this is the last question that I have for you, and it's really not a question. You have been awesome. You've been phenomenal. We want to thank the viewers who have been following with us and who have been dropping questions in the comments and making statements in the chat box. We love you. We thank God for you. Remember Breaking Chains Ministries and your prayers as we will do the same. Sister Onika Miller, my wife, mother, and Mima.
You
uh,
didn't ask me about the grants. You didn't even
you
ask
want
me
it? What?
about the
Come on. Tell us about the grams. How's it feel about how's it feel to be a Mima? Tell us about the grams.
So this is what I want to say about the grandbabies is that the grandbabies, they get, because you have grown, like I
Mhm.
said, Trey and I grew together, and because I have, and they're not my kids, and I say this all the time, them ain't my kids, I say it all the time. we give them
Yeah.
whatever they want,
Yeah.
whatever they hearts desires. Okay.
Yeah. They're spoiled.
And I think it's different. like like I have learned, I'm not in survival mode, you know what I mean? So the nurturing is there, the hugs are there, the love is there. And not that the love isn't there for your own kids, but try be good to tell me you ain't do that, you ain't do that with me. That's not how you treated me. You used to make me sit at that table and eat them green beans. I sure did. I surely did. But my grandbabies, the grands, they can have whatever they want. You are the parents.
Hmm.
Okay. You make them sit at the table and eat them green beans. I am not. When they come over here, they can have whatever they want to have.
Yeah, they are spoiled. They are a bundle of joy. Thank
Yes.
you for that, honey. We appreciate that. Uh, answer, what would you like if your mother is listening or if she's going to watch the replay? What would you like to say to your mother who may be watching?
I want to say happy Mother's Day to my mother. I want to tell my mother that I love her. I love you, Mom. You have done an excellent job in raising me. You were the best mom. I was spoiled. I was the only child by you. I was spoiled, and you did an amazing job um raising me. So I want to say thank you. All of your sacrifice and hard work has not gone unnoticed.
All right, honey. Thank you. Thank you for you're not a guest, but thank you for being a panelist. And my goodness,
Absolutely.
look, honey. I mean this from the depths of my soul. Let's do this.
Amen.
Who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. I feel like this is breaking. This is our season. This is breaking chains ministry seasons. Let's keep on building. Let's do kingdom minded things onto the glory of God. That somebody else might ask the question, "Who is the God that you serve?" I want to
Amen.
know Him, and let us point them to Jesus, our Lord and Savior. For viewers who have been journeying with us on tonight, we want to wish you a happy, blessed, and safe, prosperous Mother's Day on tomorrow. We want to once again encourage the children, whether you're under 18 or you're the adult children. It is not too late to go gift your mother. And you know what? Even if you don't have it, just spend time, pick up that phone. Can I just say, don't do what I did. Don't don't let your mother pass away and not being able to tell her one last time you love her. Don't do that. Don't do that. You got to carry that for the rest of your life. Don't be too busy in this world. Even if you're an adult and you got your own stuff going on, always find time to pick up that phone, a text message, a call, anything to tell your mom that you love them. I want to just read a few verses out of Proverbs, the 31st chapter, and this is how we're going to close this special Mother's Day um, episode. So Proverbs 31:10 says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. We say, God bless you. We love you. And once again, happy Mother's Day
Happy
weekend.
Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Jesse. Love you.
I love you, Jesse. Thank you for joining. God bless you.